Have you ever been in a conversation with your partner and suddenly it turns into, you never listen, you always do this, you are so selfish. And in that moment you do not feel loved, you feel attacked, misunderstood, maybe even small. The problem is not just the conflict itself, the problem is how the conflict is brought up. Because criticism and contempt can slowly destroy emotional safety in a relationship. And according to Gottman's relationship research, both are destructive patterns, while contempt is one of the strongest predictors of breakup and divorce. So in this video, I want to show you what criticism really is, what contempt is, why people do it, what damage it creates, and how to replace it with a much healthier way of communication. So let's start with this. Not every complaint is bad. Every relationship has complaints. That's normal. The question is not whether you have problems. The question is, how do you bring those problems up? Because that changes everything. So what is criticism? Criticism is when you bring up a complaint as if the problem is your partner's character. So instead of describing a specific behavior, you attack the person. It sounds like this: you always, you never, you're so insensitive, you're such an idiot, you can't do anything right. That is criticism. And the reason it is so damaging is simple. When someone hears criticism, they usually do not hear, here's something I need. They hear, there is something wrong with me. And when people feel personally attacked, they usually do one of four things. They defend themselves, they attack back, they shut down, or they emotionally pull away. So criticism rarely leads to understanding. It usually leads to distance. Now contempt is even worse. Contempt is when you speak from a position of superiority. It is not just, I'm upset. It is more like, I'm above you. I'm smarter than you. You are beneath me. Contempt sounds like, you're an idiot. You're pathetic. You never get anything right. It's honestly embarrassing talking to you. And contempt is not only words, it can also show up in sarcasm, eye rolling, mocking, a disgusted face, or a superior tone. Contempt kills respect. And when respect starts dying, love becomes very hard to sustain. This is why contempt is one of the most destructive patterns in a relationship. So why do people criticize or show contempt? Usually because underneath it there is pain, frustration, disappointment, or unmet needs. But instead of saying, I feel hurt, I need support, or I want to feel considered, they attack. Why? Because attack often feels stronger than vulnerability. Criticism is often a clumsy way of saying, I'm hurting. And contempt is often what happens when resentment has been building for a long time. So no, this behavior usually does not come out of nowhere, but that does not make it healthy. Because the longer a couple stays in this pattern, the more toxic the relationship becomes. Nobody wants to live for years in a relationship where they feel judged, looked down on, or emotionally unsafe. That is how many couples slowly drift towards emotional disconnection and eventually break up. So what to do instead? The healthier alternative is a soft start of the conversation. Instead of attacking your partner's character, you talk about your own experience. A very simple formula is, I feel this about that specific situation and I need this from you. Optionally, you can add, would you be willing to da da da? So instead of saying, "You're so selfish, you only ever talk about yourself," you say, "I feel left out in our conversation tonight and I need more space to share my day too. Would you be willing to ask me about my day?" Or instead of, "You drive like an idiot," you say, "I feel nervous when the car is going that fast and I need to feel safer. Would you please drive a bit more carefully?" This is the key. Talk about your feelings, the specific situation and your positive need. Not what you do not want, but what you want. This is a huge difference because the goal is not to shame on your partner. The goal is to give them a chance to succeed. So if you are the one who tends to criticize, here's where to start. First, catch words like always, never, you are, you can't, you don't care. Those are usually warning signs. Second, stop describing your partner's personality and start describing the actual situation. Instead of "you are disrespectful," do this: "When you look at your phone while I was talking, I felt dismissed." Third, name your need clearly. Instead of "stop being such a jerk," do this: "I need your attention for 2 minutes." And fourth, slow down yourself. Because people often criticize most when they are emotionally activated. So before you speak, ask yourself, am I trying to solve this or am I trying to punish them? That question matters a lot. Now, what if your partner is the one criticizing you or speaking with contempt? First, do not copy the style. Do not answer contempt with contempt. Do not answer criticism with criticism. That only escalates the cycle. Instead, try to separate the message from the delivery. You can say something like, "I want to understand what is bothering you, but I can do that when I'm being attacked." Or, "I'm open to the issue, but not to being insulted." Or, "Can you say that again in a way that tells me what you feel and need?" That is strong, calm, and clear. You are not accepting disrespect, but you are also not pouring gasoline on the fire. And if contempt is chronic, do not minimize it, because repeated contempt damages trust, attraction, and emotional safety. It has to be addressed directly. So let's bring it all together. Criticism attacks the person. Contempt looks down on the person. Both create pain, both destroy safety, and both push love further away. The better path is this: less blaming, less attacking, more clarity, more ownership, more "this is how I feel, this is what happened, and this is what I need." That is how healthy communication starts. If this video helped you, hit subscribe, leave a like, and let me know in the comments, what do you see more in a relationship? Criticism or contempt? See you in the next video. Bye bye.